How are all of you lovely people doing today? My name is John, and welcome to another fantastic episode of the Zombie Storyline Q&A. This is a series where I take your questions about the zombie storyline and answer them. Whether it's a big, a small, or a simple question, I'm always happy to take them on. You can either leave your questions down below, or you can tweet me at JohnnyJ25 with your questions. Either way, you may be in the next episode. Without further ado, let's begin. Today's episode will begin with a question from Dylan Grant, who asks, what is Primis? I've been getting this question a lot lately. To be honest, I feel like I've answered it before, but I can't quite tell, and my last video had several questions asking me who Primis was, and as I read forums, I've seen a number of people ask who Primis was, so I think the community might not be so sure on who Primis or what Primis actually is, especially if you're new to the community or not really paying attention, because they've only been mentioned a couple times, and if you're not really following closely, it could very easily go over your head. We first learned about Primis on the map Orgins. Treyarch, as they very often do, hid several scraps of paper around their map. You could then assemble those papers into one collective image, and this was the image. It showed our 4 Origins characters before a crowd of people. They were holding their staffs and they were almost looking like gods. They may have even just completed a very triumphant battle, and this is their celebration, or at least their stance of victory. That's what it seemed like was going on in this image. Below it, it had the word Primis. Primis is the Latin word for first. What first in this context was referring to was difficult to decipher. Some people thought maybe they're the first in a long series of cycles. Maybe they're the first keepers. Maybe they're the first versions of themselves. As we know, there are many different multiverses, and multiverses kind of split off one another. Maybe they're where it all began, or maybe they were the first in a long line of keepers, or maybe this is where everything all began. It was with our characters almost like gods holding these staffs. They were the ancients, perhaps. That's what it seemed like. There weren't many answers we could truly derive from it, though. It only created more questions. As time went on, we received Shadows of Evil. Shadows of Evil actually clued us in onto what Primis actually is. The first thing you'll notice is this mural on Shadows of Evil. It features our 4 characters battling alongside the Keepers against a greater evil of zombies and margwas and parasites, as well as overlords, or what appear to be the overlords. This is the great battle. Look at the border that stretches along the outside of the mural. It's the same exact border that you'll find in the Primis image. Because these two images have the same border, maybe they go together. Maybe there was a great battle, and this was the great battle, and our characters emerged triumphant. You'll notice in both images, they're actually holding their elemental staffs. They seem to go together, and this probably is where Primis started. They had this great battle, and this battle happened a long time ago. Maybe this was the first of many battles that happened. It's hard to say for sure, of course. We then actually had Primis referred to as a group in a cipher. We received this cipher in Shadows of Evil. When solved, we get the message, although they have found the way, Primis will fail. Now in this case, Primis is being referred to as a collective noun. It's referring to our 4 original characters, Takio, Nikolai, Tank, and Richtofen, the 2.0 versions of them. The ones we've been playing as since Origins, Shadows of Evil, and the Giant, Der Eisendrache, and Zetsuba no Shima. Because of this cipher, we can definitively say that when a character or a cipher refers to a person or a group known as Primis, they are talking about these 4 characters. And what this image is depicting is actually the group. Primis is the name of the group, and that's what's going on here. Now, why exactly the word Primis was chosen has yet to be revealed. As I've said, it could be a number of things. Maybe it's a reference to the first great battle, maybe they're the first in a series of cycles, maybe they're the first in a series of chains of multiverses, maybe they're the original characters. It's really difficult to pin down. Either way, if in-game we ever see Primis, we know we're talking about the group that we're playing as, and when they say Primis will fail, they're talking about our characters failing their ultimate mission. This mission that we've been playing through in Black Ops 3, collecting the souls, eventually battling this greater evil. This greater evil potentially could defeat Primis. Moving on, we now have a question from Jake Roberts, who asks, "Hey John, what is Group 601? Plus, keep up the really good vids and theories." Thanks, Jake. Group 601 is a group that not many people know about. In fact, I'm not even sure they're really canon in the story. They've been mentioned, although very seldom. In fact, you have to go digging to really find references to Group 601. You won't find any radios, you won't find any ciphers or scraps of paper that mention 601 directly. The first reference to Group 601 was in World at War. When we played Deriz, there was an alternate loading screen, and this one featured the Group 601 logo. You'll notice it in the bottom left corner. It looks just like the Group 935 logo, except the numbers in the middle are different. 935, 601. Because these logos are very similar, it makes me think that maybe they are in the same vein. Maybe they do very similar research group. They're a science-based organization. Quite possibly they're affiliated, or one is a subsidiary of the other. We don't know for sure. There hasn't been any references or explanations of what Group 601 has done or is doing in relation to Group 935, and that's how it was through World at War. There was this one mention. In fact, if you go now and play World at War, that loading screen isn't available. Instead, you get the 935 loading screen, which is kind of strange. It makes you wonder where this image actually came from. As time went on, Black Ops 1 came out, and in Black Ops 1, there was this image right here. Now, this image is hard to get your hands on. You actually had to go into the PC files and locate this image. It's not something that you'll find in-game. It's a file that Treyarch for some reason included and left in the game, or possibly forgot to remove, and it's only available if you really break into the game's files. It's not something that you can actually locate in-game, which makes me question how canon Group 601 is. If Treyarch wanted them to be in the game and be included in the story, why wouldn't they actually put them in-game? Why would they leave it obscured in the game files? Now, this image is interesting. It reads Stufe 2, NZR, Stärke durch Ordnung, and that means Stage 2. NZR, I don't know what NZR could mean, possibly Nazi zombie research, and then Stärke durch Ordnung, stronger through order or regulation or rules. And another alternate translation could be people stronger through regulation. And this makes me think of controlling the zombies. My best guess is that maybe we had Group 935, and the next step of Group 935's research would eventually be Group 601, and this group's job would be to control the zombies. That's what Group 935 was working towards, and maybe once they mastered it, they would then have Group 601 take the reign in really controlling the undead army. Possibly that was going to be their role in the German war machine. They were Stage 2. And that could explain what Stärke durch Ordnung would mean. The Germany will be stronger because they have these orderly zombies. Zombies are very chaotic, zombies are hard to control, but if we can create order and regulation and rules, and these zombies will follow them, possibly with the towers that you see in the background, maybe they're sending out signals that control the zombies, they can dominate the world. And this image presents power. You'll notice we have a mushroom cloud. It's a very strong explosion. We have the Group 935 logo with a fist in the middle. The word strong is actually on this paper. Maybe there's a lot of references to strength because this army, this undead army, will strengthen Germany and allow them to win the war. That's just a theory. That's what I get looking at this imagery. Like I said, there are no direct references to Group 601 in-game. You will not find them, I promise you, and they haven't been mentioned. There was no mention in Black Ops 2. They haven't been mentioned in Black Ops 3, even as we go back and revisit some of these older research facilities. And that makes me question how canon they are. Maybe they existed in an alternate dimension in which Group 935 was able to control the zombies, or maybe they existed in an alternate dimension in which Group 935 never existed. Instead, Group 601 existed and time went differently, and this was Treyarch's first introduction of alternate realities. There's no facts, only guesses, and I apologize for that. Either way, this is literally all we know about Group 601, a loading screen and an image found in the game files. We're gonna end today's episode with a question from Daniel Morgan, who asks, Johnny, how did Widow's Wine originate? We originally believed that Widow's Wine came from Dr. Monty. This is because Dr. Monty has been presented as the person who has created all the perks. After all, there is his factory in-game. Maybe he didn't create Widow's Wine, though, because when we play Zetsuba no Shima, we find ourselves battling a giant spider. At the end of this spider boss battle, you go further into his cave, and within his cave is this strange pool of water and a machine, and this machine seems to be able to dispense the water, and then you can drink it and you receive Widow's Wine. This may be where Widow's Wine comes from. On this island are many spiders. These spiders are not your normal spiders. They're larger than normal. They're able to weave webs in a matter of seconds that are monstrous in size. They shoot webs at you. These are mutated and modified spiders, possibly from the work that was done by Division 9. They were in the field of animal testing and animal mutations, so they may have been the ones who created the spiders, or the spiders actually originated on this island, and there was the big mama spider, the spider that we battle in game, and she lays her eggs, and those are what we're finding in the map. And maybe within them is Widow's Wine, or the necessary ingredients to create Widow's Wine, and then the machine distills it into a drinkable drink, and that's where Widow's Wine originates. And then maybe Dr. Monty came along and he finalized and refined this process, and he created the Widow's Wine machine that we see in game. Maybe the Widow's Wine machine was actually refined and created by Division 9 or Group 935. There are no answers. The best bet right now is that it comes from the spiders. The spiders themselves contain the necessary ingredients or the necessary liquids to become Widow's Wine, and then possibly another group came along and finalized it, like Dr. Monty. With that, we'll be ending this episode of the Zombie Storyline Q&A. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a like and maybe subscribe for more. As always, you can leave your questions down below or tweet me at JohnnyJ25. Either is an easy way to get yourself on the next episode, and I recommend you do it. I'm gonna go though. Have a wonderful day, and bye.